law in the state is not by necessity a new act of parliament. It merely replaces a 2001, that's 2001 act, which idea is to valuate property appropriately across the state. Now, this new law has naturally provoked interpretations, both real and imagined. So is there a meeting point? And for that matter, how does government rationalize the new regimen? I have the man who should know this morning. Is a journalist and by definition, the Commissioner for Information and Strategy in Lagos State, Mr. Kehinde Bamigbetan. I greet you. Welcome.
It's my pleasure to be here today.
Yeah, you are enjoying your job.
Well, thank God. It's okay. It's the kind of thing I've always loved to do, explaining government policies to the people, encouraging people to get to respond to government policies and using the feedback to further shape more responsive and more responsible policies from the government. It's one thing that's taken interest in. Coming from a background of having studied political science up to master's level, I've been chairman of a local government in Lagos. So it's political communications is an area in which I'm quite interested in.
I had a particular reason for asking this question because regarding this new law, you addressed a press conference recently and you said there were misconceptions, misinterpretation, misinformation, blah, 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 blah. In this internet age, news is manipulated, don't you think?
I agree with you. I agree because everybody now has news and everybody is now a publisher. So to that extent, what you push out at the end of the day depends on how much you know and how much you want to know.
If there is no information, rumors will take over. How much information did you push out before this law became public?
A lot, because it was a process that led to this. The first process was that it was an executive bill that went to the House of Assembly early last year. And you know, of course, the House of Assembly has to go through certain preconditions before it becomes law. The first is that as a first reading of the bill, which is published, you know, proceedings around it are published in the press, how the House debated the first reading, and how the House referred it to a committee of the House to look at it critically. There was also a second reading of the bill, also well publicized, showing issues arising from the perspective of the House. House members were meant to have gone to their constituency to sample opinions about the bill. And then before the third reading, there was a public hearing. The public hearing was preceded by an advertisement, both on radio and on the print, inviting the public to participate in the consideration.
Did they come?
They come. It was a big house. It was actually a very big house. Stakeholders were there, professionals were there, and non-government organizations were there, and it was a real big issue.
So what's the origin of these misconceptions?
Then those who might not have been part of that process, who are seeing the outcome of that process, are the ones who seem to be shocked. If you had been following the process, you will really not be surprised at the outcome of this process. And that's why we're saying that as citizens, we need to be informed and we need to take more interest in what is happening around us. The democratic system says that only the House of Assembly can pass laws. So we have to take more interest in what goes on in the House of Assembly. I'm not sure many of our citizens bother that way. I think the legacy of military rule seems to me that the executive always looms larger in our consciousness. And we tend to take things whenever the executive moves. That's when we begin to notice. We tend to have overlooked or overestimated the impact and role of the House of Assembly, the legislative arm, in the development of policies that will affect us ultimately.
Yeah, but the military left close to 20 years ago.
Yes.
Why are we still wearing the cloak?
Because,
also it seems.
Because democratization is a process. Nurturing democratic ideas itself is a process. Developing the citizen to operate in the democratic environment is also a process. And you have to understand, so many, almost 40 years of military rule is not going to be easy to just unwind overnight. The luck we have is that we are breeding new generation of youngsters who did not experience military rule, who we think will be the champions of the new democracy. But for many of those who are part of it, you still find out that we wait on the executive. Otherwise, much of what is happening right now should have happened when the bill was being taken through the House. That is when all these opprobrium, and Ulabalu ought to have happened, so that it becomes a real test of people trying to shape the law that is going to affect everybody.
A natural question at this point is this. Is there an appropriate time for a law like this?
It depends. No, the Yoruba say that when something is not chasing somebody, say that person may be chasing something. So it depends basically on what is happening. What's happening basically is that, look, we decided to maintain the tempo of development in Lagos State. When we got into office, we had a system whereby we shared ourselves into 6 groups covering different parts of Lagos, and we asked people to go out there and do reality checks. And so we started in ESCO and we brought pictures of our classrooms, you know, overpopulated by kids, the toilet environment, the sanitary conditions being very, very poor, you know. We found places, you know, where the needs of the people are mounting. We do it, town hall meetings, and people come there and make demands on government on what they want. We look at our health sector and we see that we need to do more schools, more primary health care centers. So when we look at the quantum of work that we need to do to make Lagos the way it is, we cannot control people coming into Lagos. The law doesn't allow us to do that. We don't have borders, you know. But we have a responsibility to make sure that anybody coming into Lagos is able to live in a position that is basically of a human being. You know, his well-being becomes a concern.
And by
for
the laws,
us to do that,
and by the laws of the environment.
Yes, for us to do that, we found out that we need more money to be able to provide more infrastructures, and we believe that in the last 2.5 years, over 32 months, we've been able to demonstrate, you know, our passion for inclusive governance, to take roads to the nooks and crannies of the state, to do projects that have encouraged people to be much more resilient, to cut man hours by doing job improvement and labor improvement programs, and to empower the youth with the Employment Trust Fund program. We think that we have a goodwill out there, and that if we go back to them and tell them that we actually need more money to do what our pastors to do, they will work with us.
No state can tax itself into prosperity, right? Wrong?
That's basically the way to go.
Okay. Now, you hear varying figures. The law has increased land use charge by 300, 400, 500%. Give me your figure, official figure.
I'll just give you a scenario.
Give me.
No. The scenario is this. If you own a property that is worth 15 million, the first thing that happens is that we have already given you a relief of 40%. This relief came out of the public hearings when various stakeholders insisted that at the full value, it would be difficult to pay and to be too high than the purchasing power of the average person. So it was negotiated to 40% of the value. So you get a relief of 40%, you know, upfront.
Otherwise, a quantity surveyor is involved here to determine that this property is...
the professional estate valuers were saddled with the responsibility of providing the value at market value. Market value is the amount at which you are likely to sell your property, put your property on the open market as at the time this thing was done. So basically, the value is much better than the earlier value. The earlier value was more or less administrative because it was the first time they were doing that thing. They relied more on inputs from the landlord. How much did you build your house and things like that. This one is more objective. Everybody can come rationally to it and more international in terms of standards. So we are using that. And if you look at it, if you take 40% off, and we're now even saying that if you pay before April 14th, for example, you take another 15% relief. That's 55% of the property value as it is. And for a owner-occupier, for example, if you own your house and you have not rented any part of the house, you know, you will enjoy 0.076% of this discounted value. And what you will be paying will be 6,840 per annum. So you wonder where these humongous figures are coming from, you know. So the same thing goes. I mean, if you're a commercial, that is, if you use your premises to sell, I mean, we have to make it very clear to what we're trying to say. Okay. The value is 0.76, and at that level, you'll be paying 68,400 for a whole year. So that's a property that is 10 million. So you can graduate it. And the idea of a progressive taxation, which has been adopted from the days of Chief Obafemi Awolowo in the Western region, which was used to develop the Western region that we all of us talked about today, has been that the person who earns more pays more. And in this instance, we are basically looking at people who use their properties for commercial purposes, who earn money from that properties.
Okay, that's the thrust, the
Yes.
major thrust.
That is those who want to pay more so that we can take care of infrastructures, of our children in schools, of our health centers.
And this is in an environment where people hardly pay taxes.
That has been the thing. So we have to come up with the idea that tax culture must now be encouraged, both at the state and federal level. That is where we are going now. We have found out that we can no longer rely on crude oil because it's no longer something we can rely on. All of us have to recognize that for us to build a new Nigeria, we need to pay taxes more.
Okay, information very key here. It tells me that, and this is not passing any moral judgment here, it tells me that your ministry had not quite done much in the area of allaying fears, crossing the T's, dotting the I's. Right, wrong?
You would recognize that the law was just recently passed fully and recently signed into law. And as we have said, as far as we are concerned, the processes that have led to this law have been well publicized. It is now late, you see, until, this is not the only law that was passed, several other laws were passed, but this is a law that has to do with people's pockets. And that, I believe, is why the response is this way.
The reaction must be understandable.
So we understand the reaction, and that's basically we are explaining that, look, if you want a better Lagos, if you want the beggars, if you see what we are doing with 10-lane road highway from the airport, and you like it, and you want to enjoy it, then all of us must pay for it because the money is not going to come from heaven. It has to come up from somewhere. And the asset that Lagos has is the land. It's a small land space on which all of us are rushing to build buildings.
Commissioner,
so
but
we can only maximize it.
The road to the airport, federal government has a lot of input here.
Well, what we are saying is that we waited so long. This is our state at the end of the day, and we are asking for investment, right? If you look at the range of investments in Nigeria today, where are they coming from? Where are they coming to? They are coming to Lagos. Why? Because we provide the enabling environment for you to be able to do your business. So we have to build on that. And it's because we do that, that's why we are able to achieve so many things around us. So it's a matter of responsibility, taking responsibility for the life of your citizens. Not believing that as a subnational, you are unable to do some things. Lagos has operated by having this inclusive mentality of believing that it can run on its own steam and make impact. And today, 84% of our resources coming from IGR. We are proving to the country that it's possible to run this state without having to take a begging bowl to the federal government.
We agree. We admire Lagos for that. But again, I'm fascinated always by the commercial in the Yoruba that the punchline is "Itesiwaju Eko lo jewa logun." In English, what does it mean?
The progress of Lagos is our concern.
Good. When you go to town with "Itesiwaju Eko lo jewa logun," why don't you also, employing the same medium, go down to the man at the bus stop in pushing these policies? That's my argument.
I can tell you that has been done and is still being done. We have 22 million people. Communicating government policy to 22 million people involves various strategies and various channels. You will recall, for example, as early as December last year, you had some adverts running saying, "Thank you, Lagosians." Those are part of the things to begin to tweak the public mind to the need for more cooperation. Because, look, we know that we can't, a bird doesn't fly with one wing. We need people to do this. But the channels differ. The responses differ based on, for example, who is affected, and who is not affected. The point is that we need to sell the idea very clearly that this is about benefits. The payments may come, but ultimately, do you have a man in office who uses the money for what you expect it to do? Do you have a man who delivers on his projects timely and purposefully? The point is that you have that person. It's like a CEO of a company delivering results. And so he comes back to the shareholders and asks for more money to be able to do this. So that's what increase, that's what have more dividend shares and things like that, more shares in the company and that kind of thing. So we are in that context right now. Okay. We are saying that we need to do more to make Lagos a civilized, a more advanced development environment. And we need your support to do that. So communicating it, that's one reason why I'm here.
I take refuge, even if for a brief moment, in the statement you made earlier. After 40 years of military rule unbroken, it's a tall order trying to make people leave that cocoon. Again, do you have a helpline or helplines by which people can get to you?
Of course, they are.
Give the line out, because people, as you speak, people are still not happy with the new law.
Because, as I said, for many of them, they're coming to see it from the perspective of those who have no interest to pay. We have to change the narrative to look at what do you stand to gain when you pay. And we say that we have demonstrated, capacity to show you that for every kobo that you pay, you get double value, great value for it. It's like an investment in the future of Lagos State. And we are assuring you that you get value for it. So the numbers are 090.
Yeah, 090.
92.
92.
99.
99.
5642.
5642. Again from the top, 090.
92.
92.
99.
99.
5642.
5642. And the
081.
Other one? 081.
7777 in 5 places.
77777.
82.
82.
Another one.
Another one.
080.
080.
9392.
9392.
9329.
9329.
That's another one.
090.
290. 75043.
Okay,
so we have 4 different
these are the lines you engage in trying to get more responses, more reactions from what government.
In fact, we have even gone to say that you can do a self-assessment. We have decided to value for you free of charge. You can hire a professional valuer using those principles in our blue book, and do a self-assessment. And if your figures differ from our own, we can sit down, call these lines, and they will come and discuss with you. Wow. And if you still feel that you are we are not right, there's a tribunal that you can appeal to that can determine the case. So we have a governance structure that enables you as a citizen to make sure that you ventilate your options. So the idea of using social media to misinform people, it's not the best thing.
Well, one countermeasure is what you're doing here. That's why you are here.
Thank you very much.
Counter this.
Thanks for the opportunity.
But social media must do its job.
Well, it must. You see, we also are part of the social media. We also play in that area. Yeah. But what we seek is that in journalism, it is called informed commentary. You have to be informed before you comment. But social media is like a marketplace. Everybody comes in there because we have a phone, and you have the fundamental human rights.
Bami Beton, we are approaching an election year, so so many things will be thrown up.
We agree with you.
So you must go with the tide.
Certainly.
But then if you want to swim against the tide, you must be ready.
So you're part of the tide.
Oh, okay, you are part of the tide. Yes. Now, if the idea here is to make Lagos of a dream a reality, why property owners alone? Aren't you seeking to diversify?
No, this is the law that has attracted the greatest response, because all over the world, property taxes are always like this anyway. But there are other laws that, the pay is still there. You still have to pay as you earn, it's still there. Your consumption tax is still there. I mean, if you drink a bottle of beer, a little part of it is taken back by the government, those are still there. And we've also moved into vehicle administration now. We found out that people with 170 million naira vehicle still want to pay 1,700 naira. Like you, sir. So we are saying that, look, let the capacity determine now. Let the value determine what you pay. Let's have a more progressive, a fairer system of doing these things. And so it's across board. But because this is one outdated law. It's been really, 15 years of not touching a law is quite outdated.
So why was the law not touched?
It's
only natural to ask.
We can't all brief for our successors, our predecessors. They must have one reason or the other. Maybe they didn't have the kind of prayer that we have. Maybe they felt it was okay as it was. But now, faced with new challenges, faced with new dreams, determined to do a better Lagos that everybody will be happy, with at the end of the day, we have had to look at where can we. Because the other option is to borrow. And when we borrow, you still have to pay, you know. So why are we postponing the evil day? Why don't we use our goodwill, our track record, to show you that if you give us more money, you will get more value? And these values are not, they're not imaginary. They're things you can feel. If you are doing schools, you will see it. Just last year, we spent 20 billion rehabilitating over 1,000 schools. You know. Why? Because when we look at those pictures,
classrooms now across Lagos, you won't have pupils sitting on the floor?
We have done a lot, some. But this year, if you look at our budget, we are devoting over 20% of the budget to education alone. It shows you that we have declared an emergency in that sector. Yeah. For the first time, Lagos State University is going to be a burden. You're going to have hostels for the first time. And that is going to reduce the exposure of the students to criminal, to kidnap, to murder over a long time. We are improving security. Waterway security has been a federal thing, but now we can no longer ignore it because kidnapping is taking place through those waterways. So we have improved coastal security than at no other time, and it's costing a lot of money. So to keep Lagos secure and safe requires a lot of money. And we are saying that we need this extra money so that you can feel secure in Lagos, you can invest in Lagos, and you can be sure that your investment will be safe.
Is the government able to determine what the housing deficiency is in Lagos State?
We know it's in millions. I mean, if you have 22 million people and they have to live in houses, we know it's in millions. And one of the things we are doing, of course, is that we are trying to reduce the housing deficits. You know, of course, that we have like almost like 24 different housing sites right now across Lagos State, you know, the Lagos homes. You know, of course, that we have a rent-to-own scheme that enables you to pay over 30 years.
Ongoing?
You know, yes, over 30 years. You can pay over 30 years. As far as if you start at age 20, by the time you leave your service at 55, you will have completed paying and little money from your salary. That is on, you know, and we also have the ones you can buy upfront. So we are also working on on reducing the housing deficit that's in Lagos.
Okay, let me take a Peter. Peter is reaching us from Kaduna. I'm wondering if Peter has a property in Lagos. Welcome, Peter.
You must have.
Yeah, I used to be in Lagos before.
Ah,
okay, thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I used to be in Lagos, but presently I'm in Kaduna because of the wonderful work El Rufai is doing here.
Thank you.
And perhaps about the land use charge, this is something that has been missing, that is a missing link where I live in Kaduna.
Go on. Yeah, don't listen to the holdback. Go on, just go on.
So actually, these are avenues government or state governors can generate revenue money for social infrastructure, for development. And I want to believe it is a good gesture. Why don't other of our governors in other places of Nigeria also take a borrow leaf from Lagos State so that we can have accelerated development, so that we can have development that is acceptable, so that we can move from the primordial time of depending solely on federal allocation.
Yeah, Peter, I accept that. I agree with your sentiment, except that there must be Bangbeton, one Lagos at a time. Lagos is peculiar.
Yes.
Lagos is mini Nigeria.
Yes, but we also encourage other states. I mean, it's a model state. We encourage other states. You see, the property taxes is administration itself is an issue. You know, I'm quite sure. I mean, you must have a house in your village. I'm not sure you have paid your property taxes in the last 1 or 2 years. In fact, when they come to you, you most likely say,
answer your question. I don't get a house for village, so.
but that's something that happens
want to
a lot.
Build,
you
yeah.
know? When we see people, we ask them, even in your village, don't you pay property tax? They say they will never even come to me. But it shows you how weak the administrative system is.
Yeah.
all about.
Yeah.
Across board. We are even with this system, what is going on? We want to do a fresh enumeration. We want to capture more people because every day people are building houses, but not all these houses are recorded. Not all the houses, you know, get construction permits. So we are even behind in terms of the coverage area.
Commissioner, let's face another caller. Who knows? Maybe a house owner. Olayinka is in Lagos. Welcome. Olayinka, I greet you. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here with you.
Welcome. Let's go.
Yeah, I greet the Honorable Commissioner.
Thank you. Thank you.
The tax policy in Lagos is good.
Thank you.
In as much as it is good, I don't think it is not everybody living in Lagos that are living in Lekki,
Banana and Plantain Islands.
Islands. Please, I want the Honorable Commissioner to look at the people living around Lagos above.
Thank you.
And this same land use issue affects them. And the development is not coming to those areas. At least I've been living in Lagos now for more than 20 years.
Thank you.
And I can point to you, there are some streets whereby you don't even have the hand of Lagos there. The same footpath that the community develop and create and maintain, those are the things we still use. I've been in this Lagos now. I have never tasted pipe-borne water for more than 20 years.
Yeah.
I've lived in this Lagos now. We pay for Loma.
Olayinka, we can go on and on and on. He understands
What is your program for others to enjoy? Do you use our own tax and the remote area to develop the urban area?
Thank you.
Now, you see, I thank you very much for your question because it will enable me to explain further. You see, Lagos State, for the purpose of this land use enumeration, is broken into 3,000 districts. 3,000 districts.
You don't say.
Yes. So it is your area, it is the value in your area that will determine, it's not a general value. You know, the person living in Lekki and the person living in Ejibo, they are not going to start at the same point because the value, even the land in that area, they do not command the same cost. So it will not be possible for you to pay the cost of the land.
Sorry, as we discuss this,
yes,
let's talk to the man at the bus stop. You know, Olayinka might be highbrow, but the man at the bus stop, what I'm saying is, if number 5 of a particular street is commercial, number 7 is personal, residential, do they pay a common?
They cannot pay common because they're already classified.
Break it down, yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, that to start with, the land on which the building is located, the value of that land cannot be the same across board because it depends on the area in which it is. And that's why Lagos State has already we have already classified the land in Lagos to 3,000 grades, such that the person living in a remote rural area like Badagry or is not likely to, will not pay the same amount for the same person for the land in Ikeja. That's one thing I want to make very, very clear to start with. It's not a general charge. It depends on the value of that area. Number 2.
Let me pause here a while.
Yes.
I can't keep Adekunle waiting for a... Welcome, Adekunle. He's left. Yeah.
So that's the first. So it's not a general value. Number 2 is
what
that
I
the
meant.
building,
Sorry,
the use of which...
Not to interrupt needlessly.
Yeah.
This is what I meant by stage by stage, take the people along.
I'm telling you, sir, that this is part of the content of the communication that we have been pushing out. And that's why I'm able to repeat them so easily, of course, and effortlessly, you know. So the building that you have put there, the use to which you have put the building is now the second consideration. If you are staying in there, it's an accommodation, you know, and you are a retiree, you are not even paying a kobo under this law.
If you are a retiree,
you are not going to
we
pay
hold
a
it
kobo.
there, go on this break and return. Please, when we come back from the break, feel free to utilize the number on your screens, call in, ask the relevant questions. Bamik Beton, Kayinde Bamik Beton is here to broach them. Let's go on the break. Okay, then, welcome back. Still understanding the new Lagos land use charge law, understanding it and interpreting it. The Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Lagos State, is here, Kayinde Bamik Beton. Now, let's ask you, through the questions like stones at him, he's ready to take them. And the number, or the numbers are displayed on your screen. Yeah, the man at this bus stop you are addressing now. And it's very interesting that a retiree does not pay anything here.
A pensioner does not pay anything.
Especially if he's living on his property.
And he's the only one in that house. He has not rented any part of it.
Okay, he has no tenant on the property.
He has no tenant on the property. If he has a tenant, it means that he has already commercialized that property.
Okay.
So we will have to reduce, we have to impute that commercial rate into that property.
But it will
that's a variation.
Will not approximate to what you asked the man on
Certainly
Banana
not.
Island.
Certainly not.
Yeah.
The first point we need to make very clear is that in terms of land value, it is not the same across Lagos.
Okay,
and we have broken.
And it couldn't be.
Yes, we have broken Lagos into 3,000 land value districts.
That's very interesting. I hope Mazi Okorafor in Arochukwu. Arochukwu is on the line to you.
Okay, sir.
Welcome.
Good morning, Sir Joseph. Good morning, Honorable Colleague.
Hello, sir. How are you, sir?
Good morning. You see, Honorable Question.
Thank you, sir.
We thank the Lagos State government for being the number one in Nigeria and Africa, Lagos State. You see, any policy or demand from the government to the populace must be a demand that will carry everybody along. The land use tax is not talking about the body. I'm just saying the House of Assembly should rethink to go back and rethink because people are suffering, my brother. People are complaining. Peter, if you start to walk through the digital means of communication, you see the complaints of people. The Lagos State government should rethink the rate for the poor people. You see, when you make a policy or you bring out a tax, it will be something affecting that people will accept it in good faith. Nobody will grumble, nobody will complain. This is what we call democracy. Everybody in any part of the country, any part of the is looking for what? Dividends of democracy. That is what was. Thank you very much, Honorable Commissioner, for the job. To expand the Lagos State government, at least you generate what you pay. It's not easy. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Many thanks. So I was going to ask Mazi if his Abia State has something like this, but he has deferred to you. Lagos is the big boy, number one. Yeah. The number one citizen has said he was going to take a second look at this law with a view to taking it up or taking it down.
No, His Excellency, the Governor, Mr. Akinwumi Ambode, said there will be dialogue. The dialogue can take place at various fora. And it refers to, one, trying to make you understand what is the intendment of this law. Two, taking a case-by-case basis. For example, this matter is quite personal because what happens to Mr. A is not what will happen to Mr. B. So you have to come up with your case and say that, look, this relief, I'm entitled to this relief, for example. I should be able to have this out of this. So based on that, that's why we have so many helplines, so that I can come forward and we can, that's part of the dialogue that we're talking about. That we are going to be very, very compassionate, you know, in the manner in which we administer the law. There will be dialogue.
And the good thing is we have a Reverend Dominic here. You imagine a Reverend telling the congregants, this is what the new law is all about. Reverend Dominic, welcome. Welcome.
Can I go on? The network is interrupting.
Okay, go on, please.
I want to ask the Honorable Commissioner, can I go on?
Go on, you are on.
I want to ask the Honorable Commissioner to do more to educate Lagosians.
Thank you.
I read a newspaper article this morning where the past version of Ikeja has given Lagos State some ultimatum to reverse the law. Okay. And to me, as a pastor and a preacher and a Nigerian, that's a wonderful law. Okay. Everybody must pay for what we use in Nigeria.
Thank you.
Nations grow by when people pay to the services rendered to them. But this in Nigeria is especially Lagos. There's some brothers in Lagos who live in a property, only empty land property that costs 200 million. If you're going to Lekki, Banana, 200 million for only empty land property, and they put a property on it. I don't know how they're going to assess them. There are some of us who live in a better, somewhere here in Alimosho. I don't know how you're going to also assess us. Number three, the numbers we just read up now, I think Lagos should make more to pay the fees to EV stations, to put it on the screen. I tried to pick up, I can't get it. But the better you put this number on the screen so we can reach you. Because the more you explain, the better people understand the policy. Everybody must pay tax in Nigeria. This is the way to go. Thank you.
Reverend Dominic and even the Holy Writ talk about paying taxes.
And one of the things about this law, for example, that if you are using your property for religious purposes, you don't pay.
If you convert your property to a church or a mosque, you don't pay.
You don't pay.
I hope Dominic is with us now.
So, and all these things came out of those debates during the public hearings. You know, some believe that religious property.
I'm sorry. At a time, the idea. Sorry. At a time, it was broached that churches and mosques in Lagos might pay tax.
That was, some people came to the public hearing with that agenda, that everybody, including religious bodies, should be asked to pay. But the consensus at the end of the day at the public hearing, you know, was that because they play spiritual roles, and all of us believe in God, that they should be let alone. So I'm just saying that the law is the outcome of a lot of negotiation.
And it's a revolving one.
And it's a revolving one. So basically,
let me take Yakub is here in Lagos. Yakub, welcome.
Yeah. Good morning, John.
Okay, then.
Good morning to Honorable.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'm very grateful.
I think this is the right time that it's good for Honorable Commissioner to come to KPC to make some clarification, because I can tell you, I read this one of my WhatsApp group this morning. When I read the way the increments come up, I have another thought about the government until this morning that the Honorable Commissioner comes to the studio. Because if when you read something like that, because what they are written there is that the increment is from almost 400%. I wonder how it's going to happen. Then I can tell you, Honorable Commissioner, I don't know, maybe they are going to send another bill to the House of Assembly, because I can assure you, something like what they're saying, people like Reverend Dominic and then even George are together. I can tell you, the increment on this land part, the law, they are going to put the loan on the tenant. I can tell you that because when they increase your tenancy bill, and then if you ask your landlord, how come you come to all this increment, like from 10% to 50% of increment? They sometimes will rather tell you that the Lagos State have already increased the land use tax so that you will pay. And then if you say that you can't pay it, what the next thing that landlord will say, you can back out. And then you have nothing to do rather than back out.
Thank you.
So I would like you to address that issue. Thank you, and God bless you.
Yes, thank you very much. This law has already anticipated that scenario. And the response is that where your landlord, you know, penalizes you for what he's supposed to pay, the law allows you to take it out of his next rent, and the law, Lagos State government will back you up in that. So we have already anticipated that some landlords might be funny, intend to transfer their responsibility to their tenants, and we're already standing with the tenants as far as we're concerned, that where your landlord transfers to you...
With respect to the tenancy
Yes, yes. You have a responsibility to take it out of your next rent, and Lagos State government will back you up in that.
Okay, then. Again, it talked about a WhatsApp group. We have agreed that news is also manipulated for goodness knows why.
Of course.
And this is why your intervention must be a continuous one.
Thank you.
And the gentleman talked about the helplines where, okay, I hope we can do something about it before.
Just help us scroll it as the program is going so that people can...
So, but the backroom boys are saying you must pay. I hope you must, you must pay.
We are friends. We are friends. We'll work it out anyway. We'll work it out.
Yeah, these work out. Now I'm interested in that.
Yes, we'll work it out. We'll work it out.
You tax me, we pay you.
We will always work it out. We will always work it out.
All right, then. So the man at the bus stop. Now, let's expand that scenario. The landlord hopes to make, let me say, just yesterday, somebody I know very well said the landlord has put him on notice. The rent for 500 will be going for 600 next year on account of this law.
But that's this. Even as tenants, we have certain rights. We have the right to demand transparency. Let us look at that figure. I've given you an instance, you know. What is the total value of that property? The relief that the landlord has gotten, you know, in this context now, is about 55% relief of the value of that property. You know. That in itself, if the tenant knows, we should be able to enable the tenant to persuade and tell the landlord that there's no basis for this justification of any increase. Because at the end of the day, is it 13,000 per annum they are talking about? So it depends on the total value of the property. And what I'm just basically saying is that there's a governance system, there's a transparency system that are attached to it, and it's a case-by-case basis. It's not a general thing. Yeah. So the tenants should address the landlord, and if there are issues, refer it to us. We will intervene.
Okay, then. So it's about people knowing their rights and pursuing them.
That's correct, sir.
Okay, please feel free to call and then, you know, we have Etiosa on the line, and Dayo is the man there. Not Etiosa. Dayo Etiosa. Welcome.
Oh, good morning.
I greet you, sir.
Yeah, good morning, moderator and honorable commissioner.
Good morning, good morning.
The truth of the matter is, I paid a bill of 130 last year. This year, last week, I got 586.
Good.
Thousand naira to pay. That's over 400% increase. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two, we tend to refer to abroad all the time. Things like these are happening. Is Mr. Kenyide's children going to public school? Is
yes.
Mr. Kenyi, honorable commissioner?
Yes. King's College, Lagos.
But these
at the end of the day,
okay.
What we are talking about is everybody is ready to pay tax, but not when individuals are local government to themselves. How many roads do we have in Lagos State? Public schools are not functioning. Hospitals are not there. If anybody have an accident now, how long will it take an ambulance to be there? We're talking about security. And to worsen the matter, the economy is down. How do you expect people, when they are not making money, to now pay, to now make 400-500% increment in the tax? You know?
Okay. My brother, whatever the landlord is asking you to pay is his own 400% increase, not this law, right?
Yes.
Is the landlord's 400%, because the landlord will sell this, will spin this yarn. Everything is 400%, and you are saying it is not something that's across board.
It's not across board. Number one is that you said you paid 130,000 naira last year, and here you have a bill of 586,000. My advice is, why don't you use our helpline to let us take a look at what figures you have? That will be very interesting. You have a right to contest our figures. That's what we are saying. If you think that we have been wrongly valued or assessed, you have a responsibility, not even just a right, you have a responsibility to contest our figures so that we can see how we arrived at those figures. That's number one. Number two is, when you say that the Lagos is not functioning, then I wonder how you have been able to survive in this place, you know, because if you look at the roads that we have provided, if you look at the environment that we have provided, and we continue to provide, you know, the way to go is, the only way to solve those problems you have identified is actually to put more money, not to reduce the money available to government. Because government is not going to use the money in the hands of private people to do it. It's going to use the taxes that you pay to do it. So if you claim, as you are alleging, because I can tell you that most of your allegations are not correct in any way, but if you allege that the schools are not good, if the solution not to put more money in government hands so that it can make them good, if you claim that if there's an accident and your response is low, and our own response is the fastest around this country, I can tell you that, you know. But the way to improve it is also to put more money in the hands of government, not to reduce the money in the hands of government. Okay. So the functionality of government, the efficiency of government, the effectiveness of government depends on the resources available to government. What we have shown you is that we have been able to demonstrate accountability, efficiency, and good management of resources.
Let me pause you.
I will insist on that.
And take Hassan is waiting at Lekki. Hassan, welcome.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. Hussein.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
And good morning, your Honorable Commissioner.
Good morning, sir.
Please, this issue of land use charges, I don't see it as something that is feasible. Why I say so is this. You see, people are really suffering. People are not getting what we are even talking about. In the sense that if land use charges is meant for infrastructural development, even in the Lekki you are talking about, most of the developments are communal sponsored or financed development. Secondly, in the area I'm living in Lekki, we have been paying land use taxes for a very long time. No road in our area. And for our information, let the governor know about it. The Lekki is just a fantasy area. The only place good in Lekki is by the roadside. No inner roads in Lekki, no justification for compounding the problems of the people. The issue of this increasing in my house now is 13,000. And my house is not a commercial home. It's a private home. It's a personal house. Why should I be paying 13,000 every year to state government? For what? Please, you need to take a second look at it.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. Again, provokes the question I asked earlier on, Bami Beton. Is there an appropriate time to have this law in place?
I would think that I'm so thankful for the last person, because for now, we now know, against the humongous figures being bandied around, that somebody is lucky who is a owner-occupier. He has admitted that he has been billed 13,000 naira for a whole year. That's less than 1,000. That's about 1,000 naira to 1,200 per month in Lekki. So gradually, therefore, the truth is coming out, because you will expect that the figure for somebody in Lekki will be bigger. So if somebody in Lekki is being charged 13,000, you will expect somebody in Ikeja, to be much lower. So it just goes to the point that we make, and that we are making, that many of those figures are, outrageous, and there's no basis for them.
Yeah.
But now,
but he talked about
he made the point about
poor roads here.
He made the point about the infrastructural facilities around Lekki. I know that we have just done the Ajah Bridge. I'm quite sure that is a major asset to the Lekki people, because before that bridge, the amount of time you spent going on Ajah used to be very, very much, and when we started that project, the response we got was very, very enthusiastic. And of course, we are going into various. If you look at this budget, for example, a lot of work is coming up in Lekki, the Ajah-Badoyo Road, for example, the Freedom Road, for example. So a lot of roads are coming up in Lekki now. Number three that you mentioned, which I want to react to.
Yeah.
I don't think we should continue to wish ourselves bad by saying that we are still in a recession. The National Bureau Board has come out to say that as at Q2 of 2017, this country exited recession. We became a growing economy. We came back and we became an economy that is experiencing growth since Q2 2017.
Yeah, but so it is difficult to preach such a gospel at the time. Just a minute.
What I'm saying is we are just dealing with the figures. Because
we'll come back to it. I don't want to keep Gbolahan at Ikorodu waiting. Gbolahan, welcome.
Yeah, good morning.
Welcome.
Yeah, well done. Yeah, sorry. Good morning, Honorable Commissioner.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, sorry. I want to ask you, because we don't know whether these charges is due to the volume of somebody's business or the value of the land.
Is that all?
Yes.
Okay.
Then
okay.
We need a more clarification on, because we have COO that we paid for. We paid the ground rent on the COO. Then this one now, what are we paying for?
You are not.
If you are done, just sit back and listen to him.
First, let me say that when you take a CFO, it's different from when you make annual payments. The ground rent is an annual charge on that property. The land use charge addresses the annual charge that you have to pay. And within it, you have the ground rent, not the first payment that you make in trying to access the land or CFO. This one is an annual charge on that land. And if you look at the conditions on your CFO, there's a provision along that line. Number two, taxes. This tax is administered by the Lagos State government. It's administered for the purpose of raising more funds for development. It is a better option to borrowing money and postponing the evil day when ultimately all of us will still pay. And the courage why we are putting it is that we believe that Lagos deserves more development. We believe that Lagos cannot be among those states that has to go to the federal seeking with the begging bowl. We believe that Lagosians have come to see the efficacy of putting people who can manage their affairs and who can deliver projects. And this is why we are saying that for us to do more, we need your support. It is basically an appeal for you to pay your own part in the development of Lagos State.
And leave the rest to government.
Every tax is an investment in the future of Lagos State.
Farouk is waiting at Surulere. Welcome, Farouk.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah,
good morning.
I greet you.
Yes. Yes, I just want to ask the Honorable Commissioner. Yes. There was a political meeting in Surulere. There was a politician that was trying to explain the land use charge to the members of the political party at APC. And he was saying that land use charge also includes the fees for cutting the refuge. I would like to confirm that.
Sorry, the fee for what? Let me get that clear.
That the land use charge covers the cost of cutting away of people's refuge.
Or refuse and so on. Okay.
Well, you see, it's a different regime. The regimes are different. The land use charge regime is different from the utility bill.
Security, waste, and all that.
Yes, the utility bill will take care of refuse picking, but this land use charge basically covers three. Tenement rates, which local governments are supposed to collect, but which they have asked the government of Lagos State to collect on their behalf, so that there will be harmonization of taxes. The neighborhood improvement tax, which has also been there for a long time, and the ground rent. Those are the three different taxes.
I'm told you are closing now.
Harmonized into it. Well, because one of the issues earlier by the private sector has been that Lagos had too many taxes. So we're trying to bring the taxes to harmonize them so that you don't have to pay many of these taxes at various times. So basically, our argument is that this land use charge, the whole idea is trying to update a law and make it more realistic, and at the same time trying to use the proceeds of that law, of that charge, so that we can develop Lagos that you are beginning to see. We have started a lot of projects that will add value to your life, improve your business, enable everybody who is in Lagos to live a better life. But for us to be able to come to fruition on many of these things, we need your support. We need you to pay the land use charge so that Lagos can be better, so that Lagos can be greater.
Do you have a social media handle or something?
Yeah, we have the Follow LASG. That's basically
like the numbers we talked about, the helplines and so on. Please go there regularly.
Okay.
Yeah. Mr. Kehinde Bamigbeton, I want to thank you very kindly for coming.
A pleasure.
Again, when there's information, rumors will go away.
Thank you.
Don't stop here.
Thank you.
Take it further afield, and we wish you well.
Thank you very much.
So that's it. We must pack it all in here. Question again, can any government, state or federal, tax itself into prosperity? The answer is no. It's more like a man standing in a bucket of water and hoping to lift the bucket. It's not possible. We'll leave it there for today. Join us tomorrow morning, and please take care of yourself. Bye-bye now.